Welcome back to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Nolan Jam. The weekend, the weekend was filled with a lot. NFL draft went on, finished up on Saturday. Talk about that. NBA playoffs still rocking and rolling. We'll talk about that. Today is gonna be like it has been the last week or so, NBA and NFL content. So we're gonna stick with that. We're gonna stick with that. We're gonna start it off by talking about the NFL draft. To recap, break it down. Before we get into any of that though, tips and donations. Tips and donations are always greatly appreciated. By tipping and donating, it shows that you guys care about the content that we're putting out, and we're putting out the best content that we can. So if you do want to show your support and you want to tip or donate to us and you're in the live stream, feel free to do that with the super chat and sticker feature. And if you're not in the live stream and want to tip or donate, feel free to do that with the two links in the YouTube bio and in the description. If you don't want to tip or donate and you still want to show support, feel free to leave a comment on the YouTube video, the YouTube short video that we post, or the live stream comment section. I'll see the live stream ones as soon as they pop up. So if you want to ask a question, I'll get to that as soon as I can. And like I said, though, even if you want to tip or donate, show your support, feel free to do that with the super chat and sticker feature if you're in the live stream. And if you're not in the live stream, the two links in the bio and in the description. With that being said, let's get into topic number one for today. With that being the NFL draft recap/breakdown. The NFL draft is finally concluded. Well, it concluded on Saturday, but we weren't working on Saturday. We were watching the draft. But it finally concluded on Saturday it was finished in Green Bay. It was Green Bay. First time in a while it was in Green Bay, and I finished, I believe I saw around 600,000 total attendees from the week, which is very impressive. 600,000 is a very, very impressive amount of people to show out for a draft. The draft, I feel like, is getting bigger and bigger each year. More people are showing out. More people are coming out to support their city, and it's awesome seeing people go out and show their support. But the NFL draft had a lot of twists and turns, I guess you could say. You got, sorry about that. You got, Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, first two overall picks. Shedeur Sanders jumping all the way down to the fifth round. It was insane. A lot of guys were taken early who were expected to. A lot of guys weren't taken early who were expected to go pretty early. So obviously we'll talk about that. The first three overall picks, Cam Ward, Shedeur, Abdul-Carter. Those three were the guaranteed. I think everybody who followed the draft, who followed college football, agreed those three will be the first three overall people to go in the draft. And they were. And it was only a matter of what team chose them. We all knew Cam Ward was going one. The Titans needed a quarterback, and Cam Ward is their guy to help solve their quarterback problem. And, they took their sweet time. I'm not sure why they took so long to draft him at the first overall pick, because they knew they were going to take him. But, they got him first overall pick, and Tennessee has got themselves, hopefully, a new franchise QB to bring them back to where they were back in 2021 with the first overall seed in the AFC. Then you have, Travis Hunter and Abdul-Carter. No one really knew which one was going to be first overall or second and third overall. It was kind of a toss-up who was going to get which one. But in all of my mock drafts, I had Travis Hunter going number 2. I thought the Browns were going to take him, and I was right. He went number 2. He just didn't go to the Browns. He went to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who ended up trading up to the 2 seed and gave the Browns a lot of picks, and they gave him a lot of load. They gave them a lot to get the second overall pick, and they got it. Drafted Travis Hunter. And, the Jags, they got a generational talent in Travis Hunter. Two-way player, Heisman winner, could come back and, maybe bring the Jags back to what they were back in 2018 when they made it to the AFC Championship. We know with Flores, phenomenal team. We had, Jalen Ramsey was still on that team. But, maybe Travis Hunter alone is good enough to finally bring back Jacksonville to, what they used to be. A good, a decent team. Not amazing, but not the laughing stock of the league. I mean, Travis Hunter is just that good of a player, and maybe if he's good enough, hopefully he is, he will bring the Jacksonville Jaguars some success, and maybe, I don't know, maybe a playoff, who knows? But I wouldn't be surprised if within a year or two, not this year, I don't think he'll make an I hope he makes an immediate impact, but I still think the Jags are very, very limited on a lot of their play. I think Trevor Lawrence, I just don't think he's that good of a quarterback. I mean, they just signed him to a pretty big extension, pretty big deal. So, the Jacksonville Jaguars think he's a pretty good quarterback, but overall, I don't really think he's the best. I mean, then you got, excuse me, I don't know why I'm so tired. They got Travis Etienne, great running back, but he's injured a lot, and he was injured like almost all of last year. So that's a problem for him. But I mean, you got, like I said, Travis Hunter, the best overall athlete in the draft, two-way player, quarterback and receiver. Hopefully, he can, bring some promise to the Jacksonville Jaguars team and bring them back to what they once were. Abdul Carter to the Giants at 3. I mean, that's what I thought was going to happen the entire time. I thought he was going to the Giants, and I was right. Him, Kayvon, and Dexter Lawrence is going to be a very scary defensive line. Honestly, I think the Giants in general had a very good draft. Cam Skattebo out of ASU, very underrated running back. He was very slept on all season, and a lot of people didn't really know who he was until that playoff game. And me neither. I really didn't, follow ASU football a lot this year. I have some friends who go to ASU, but I'm not asking them, how these guys do this weekend. Like, I'm not asking them that. I don't follow them. But seeing ASU, make a name for themselves this year, make it all the way to the playoffs, first ever 12-team playoff, and they made it. I mean, they made a name. Cam Skattebo was the reason they were still in that game against Texas that entire time. He was making catches downfield, making big runs. I mean, he's an absolute tank. And the Giants got probably the most underrated running back in the draft, the best defensive player or defensive end in the draft, I'll say. Maybe not the best overall player, but the best defensive end. Maybe the best defensive player. But they got some really good players out of this draft. The Giants had a very sneakily good draft. And, they're going to be a good team. The Giants this year could, maybe take a leap, with this young core they just acquired, and maybe make a. I mean, NFC East is a bloodbath. Eagles, Commanders, Cowboys, they are going to be. It's a very hard conference every year, except for 2020. That year they didn't count, but NFC East is very lethal, very scary division to play in. I mean, just so many good teams in there, and I mean, it's going to be very hard for them to take the next big step because of how good that conference is, division. But if they're able to, they can, if they can somehow play good enough, maybe make their way into a wild card spot this year. With that young roster they got, I wouldn't be surprised. Just a thought, something to think about. Then we got, some other teams. Seahawks, Jalen Milroe, 3rd, 4th round pick. It's kind of crazy. Talk about his first. Shedeur Sanders. He was, it's Shedeur Sanders. Everybody thought top 10 pick, top 1st round pick for sure. He drops all the way to the 5th round. And he could have went a lot earlier. The Browns could have taken him in the 3rd round instead of Gabriel. The Seahawks could have taken him over Milroe. The Saints could have taken him over Tyler I mean, there was just so many options available. I mean, it's insane. A lot of these QBs dropped really far this year. Will Howard out of Ohio State. He went in the 5th round to the Steelers, who needed a quarterback, so I'm glad they got one. Quinn Ewers in the 6th round went to the Dolphins. I mean, all of these quarterbacks went pretty far. They dropped really far in this draft. And it was kind of surprising to see these big-name quarterbacks who thought, they could make some noise, drop to 5th and 6th rounds. But obviously the best obviously you got the really good quarterbacks who are going 1st round. And I feel like the quarterbacks who were taken later in the draft, the 5th and 6th rounds, tend to last a little longer. I mean, obviously the greatest ever, Tom Brady, he was a 5th round. He was a 6th round pick. I mean, more recently, I guess you could say, Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, last overall pick in the draft. He's won 2 NFC championships, 1 NFC championship. I forgot how many exactly. But these later pick guys can make a name for themselves, especially if Will Howard can. The Steelers QB room is basically non-existent. I mean, they really don't have a QB right now, and Will Howard, honestly, right now is their guy. And this Will Howard can absolutely, if played right, can fit into that system very well. He's a very good QB, phenomenal at Ohio State. So we'll have to wait and see how he plays, in spring camp, training camp. But I think he 100% can help the Steelers, just be a good contending team. They make the playoffs every year, and they lose in the first round for the past 7 years. And maybe this year they can finally get over that hump with Will Howard and make a name for themselves. I mean, we'll have to wait and see because they got a good team. They got Jack Sawyer at their defensive end. Their defense is still amazing, but their offense is kind of lacking now. They don't really have any receivers. I mean, they do got Pickens and DK Metcalf, but they lost. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. If they don't have a good quarterback, they're not going to have a good receiving core. You need a good quarterback to have a good receiving core, and if Will Howard doesn't play well, they don't really have much to go back on. So I'm not sure. They got a lot to figure out over there in Pittsburgh. But this draft overall was a very good draft. A lot of players who kind of didn't see going early went early. A lot of players you think would go early didn't, like Quinn Ewers, Will Howard, Shadur Sanders. Dylan Gabriel getting picked up by the Browns in the third round was kind of I didn't see that one coming. But just a lot of obscure picks this draft, and very interesting stories behind a lot of them. But overall, it was a really good draft. I really did enjoy watching this draft, seeing a lot of these players, make a name for themselves, get finally drafted, go prove themselves in the league somewhere. So I'm excited that all these guys got drafted, and this is just one step closer for the NFL season to finally start again in late August and early September, just around that time. So that's all I got for this segment. Next segment, we're sticking with the NFL. We're talking about the Cleveland Browns in the cute quarterback room. After that, we're going to the NBA, talk about the NBA playoff games from this weekend. We'll preview the game for tonight, and then talk about the Eastern Conference and the playoffs right now. Just the Eastern Conference. But we'll get to all that after the break.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Welcome back to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Nolan Jambert. First segment, we covered the NFL draft, recapped that. We talked about, highs and lows of the draft, players who went early, players who didn't, surprises, stories, all that. This segment, we're sticking with the NFL. We're talking about the Cleveland Browns quarterback room. One of the quarterback rooms of all time, that's for sure. After this, we're going to the NBA. Talking about the playoffs, preview the games for tonight, recap the games from this weekend, and talk about the Eastern Conference NBA playoffs. Just the Eastern Conference, I want to talk about that. Just interesting story going on over there. Before we get to any of that, though, tips and donations. Tips and donations are always greatly appreciated. By tipping and donating, it shows you guys care about the content they're putting out, and we're putting out the best content that we possibly can. So if you want to tip or donate, show appreciation for what we do. And if you're in the live stream, feel free to do that with the super chat and sticker feature. If you're not in the live stream, want to tip or donate, feel free to do that with the 2 links in the bio and in the description. But even if you don't want to tip or donate and you want to show support, Feel free to leave a comment on anything, the live chat, YouTube video, YouTube Shorts videos. I mean, it's always great just being able to talk to the fans. I mean, they leave comments. We want to talk to you guys. It's our job. It's what I'm doing because I like to do it, talk sports. And by being able to, interact with people listening or watching and show, they're paying attention, listening, it really means a lot. And when they ask questions, it's the best. So I get to talk to the fans, talk to the people who, kind of build what we got going on over here. So feel free to comment if you wish. But if you want to show support and you're in the live stream, like I said, feel free to tip or donate with the two links in the bio and description if you're not in the live stream, and if you're in the live stream, the super chat and sticker feature. With that being said, let's get into topic number 2 for today. The Cleveland Browns now have 5 quarterbacks in their quarterback room, and those 5 being Deshaun Watson, Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, and the 2 new draftees, the 2 rookies, Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. This has got to be one of the most interesting quarterback rooms of all time. I mean, when have you ever heard of a team not only drafting, drafting a quarterback and, the draft is fine. Drafting 2 quarterbacks in the 3rd and 5th round to make it fine. I mean, that's insane. I mean, I feel like I don't think I've ever heard of a team having 5 quarterbacks in their quarterback room to start the season, and the Browns would be the ones to be the first team I've ever heard of to do that. I mean, the QBs they got really aren't much. I mean, I think Kenny Pickett is gone. There's no way I see him playing at all this year. I think he ends up leaving, wanting to trade out. I mean, I just don't see him playing. Honestly, in my eyes, he's the quarterback 5 in that room right now. And that's my opinion. Quarterback 4, honestly, is probably Deshaun Watson. He's honestly probably the quarterback 4 right now for the Cleveland Browns. He's quarterback 4. Then I'll probably have Dylan Gabriel, then Shedeur, and then Joe Flacco. I mean, Joe Flacco, he's already played with the Browns before. He was a 1-year quarterback with them 2 seasons ago. And he actually was a great quarterback for them. He's putting up great numbers, helped lead them to multiple wins. But after Deshaun Watson's injury, he helped lead them to wins after he got injured. And it was very plentiful, very obvious that he still has what it takes to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, even if it's just on 1-year contracts. And this could be his last year in the league, but he's still a great quarterback. He's still a phenomenal quarterback. And he has shown that through his time. Last year when he was with the Colts, he still was playing very good football. He really just didn't have much around him to kind of succeed. With Richardson being out to injury, he had to step up, and he did. He helped. He wasn't leading them to as many wins as he did the year before with the Browns, but he still helped them win games. And he still got what it takes. And then he got Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. Those 2 will be battling out for the backup spot 100%. I think Shedeur will honestly probably beat him out. Shedeur Sanders, there was no reason for him to get disrespected as much as he did in this draft. He was a phenomenal quarterback. Yes, his interviews must have been horrible for him to drop all the way from the top 10 pick, top first round pick at least, to a 5th round pick. There's no way. His interviews must have been just horrible. But he's still, skill-wise, he was the best quarterback in this draft. By far. He had the worst O-line in college football this year, by far, and he still put up the best numbers. Yards, completions, touchdowns, all that. He did have some, he took sacks. He takes a lot of sacks. He scrambles, but he makes, some questionable throws or, just goes down. And, well, every quarterback does it, but he does it a lot more frequently, I guess you could say, than most quarterbacks. He's still, a phenomenal quarterback, but, there was just no reason for him to fall to the 5th round. Absolutely no reason for him to fall all the way to the 5th round of the NFL draft. No reason at all. Then I'll say Dylan Gabriel is probably going to be the 3rd string. Heisman finalist, great quarterback for Oregon. Dylan Gabriel was a great quarterback this year. Like I said, he's Heisman finalist. You're not a Heisman finalist for no reason. He was the only person in that Heisman room this year besides, I mean, he was one of the 3 quarterbacks, what I meant to say. Gentee was the only running back, and the other 3, or besides, it was weird. I mean, he was a great quarterback. He really helped Oregon this year he helped them a lot. I'll say that. They lost the Big Ten championship game to Ohio State. It wasn't really a close game. He didn't have the best game. But Ohio State's pass defense is one of the best in the college football, probably the best. And he got shut down all game. So, yeah, he didn't have, the best end to a season, losing the Big Ten championship. Yeah, they weren't done after that. But losing that game kind of brought back the agenda that Oregon just can't win the big one, and they're right, and they haven't won a big game, and I don't know, they just haven't done it in a while. And he's still a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, you're not a Heisman finalist for no reason, but I mean, he made it 3rd round quarterback above Shedeur Sanders. I mean, the Browns obviously see something in him. Granted, the Browns quarterback situation has never been that good, besides Baker Mayfield. But so saying they see something in him, isn't the greatest thing in the world. It's not saying a lot, but he's still drafted in the 3rd round. One of the first, I think, he was a top 5 quarterback in the draft to be taken this year, and I mean, he's a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong. So like I said, him and Shedeur will definitely be battling it out for the 2nd, 3rd string quarterback position, but it's only we'll have to wait and see come training camp how he performs, but I do think he will end up losing to Shedeur Sanders and being that 3rd string quarterback. Then you got Kenny Pickett and Deshaun Watson. Kenny Pickett is non-existent. There's just absolutely, he got his ring in Philly and he got traded, and there's just absolutely no way I can see him touching the field at all this year unless all 3 of them, Gabriel, Shedeur, and Joe Flacco, all manage to either get hurt or just play absolutely horrible. Kenny Pickett is just not, I'm not going to say a bad quarterback, but he's just not that good of a quarterback. He's, run-of-the-mill. He's a solid backup, but he's just, the Browns just have already 2 good backups, who will be Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur. They're both good enough. I just don't see him touching the field at all. He'll just sit in the bench, make his money and be quiet, and that's fine. And then obviously Deshaun Watson, he's out. Another Achilles injury. I mean, it does suck. The Browns signed that guy for guaranteed like $250 million, and him being out for 2 seasons basically. It does suck. He never got to really prove himself again after he came back from injury last year. He just couldn't hold on. He really didn't play well. He hasn't played well since he came back from, everything that happened to him. With the massaging and all that stuff, all that terrible stuff that, was said. It was, he was playing in the NFL. So I guess it wasn't really proven false or true or whatever, but he never got to really prove himself and save his name and likeness from the media. And with him being injured and playing so bad last year, he's still just going to forever be that guy who just was a complete bust, came from Houston to Cleveland and just lost it. Completely lost the ability to play football, and he will forever just be the guy who stole $250 million from the Cleveland Browns, and that just kind of sucks because he's a phenomenal quarterback in college at Clemson, phenomenal at Houston, and that's going to be his legacy, the Browns bust quarterback, which sucks. But the Cleveland Browns quarterback room is one of the most interesting quarterback rooms of all time, and it's got some potential. I mean, there's a lot of upside in that quarterback room, especially their backups, who will probably be Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel. But it's going to be a fun seeing how these guys match up, play against each other in training camp, spring training, see who wins the backup, who wins the roles, honestly. I think the top 3 are obviously, Gabriel, Sanders, and Flacco. Just a matter of what 3 will be in what spot, 1st, 2nd, or 3rd string. That's all I got for this segment. Next segment, we're kicking it over to the NBA. We're recapping the games from this weekend, talk about the games for tonight, and talk about the Eastern Conference NBA playoffs. We'll get to all that after the break.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Welcome back to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Nolan Jamber. First two segments, talk about the NFL draft, and then talk about the Cleveland Browns. The quarterback room is one of them. This segment, and for the rest of the show, we're talking about the NBA. We'll recap the games from this weekend, or some of the games, preview the two games for the night, or the games for tonight, and then finally ended off talking about the Eastern Conference NBA playoffs. But we'll get us started by we'll recap some of the games from this weekend. There was a lot of good games in the NBA this weekend. You had the LA Clippers, Denver Nuggets, last second Aaron Gordon dunk. New York Knicks, Detroit Pistons, nail biter at the end. I mean, how that game ended was horrible for the Pistons. I mean, this weekend was just a really good weekend of basketball. A lot of great playoff games played, and a lot of not so good playoff games played. First thing I'll talk about, though, OKC bouncing Memphis Grizzlies in 4. OKC was dominant the entire series. They were the better team on the court all 4 of those games. And even when Memphis had the lead, they just couldn't seem to hold on. Ja just said, I saw in a post earlier, he said, right now it'd be 2-2 because I had them figured out. He got hurt, so obviously, it didn't go. If it would be 2-2, I guess you could say, but he got hurt, so it ended up being 4-0. But John Morant's saying he'd be 2-2 right now without him getting hurt. Would that be true? I really don't know. John Morant, he was playing really good that entire series. He was playing some pretty good basketball. He was being kind of the staple for that team, I guess. But he wasn't the best scorer, which is unfortunate. You got Scottie Pippen Jr. was probably the best scorer the last 2 games, even though they lost when they had those leads at halftime. In those last 2 games, Scottie Pippen Jr. was the best player on the court for the Grizzlies that game. And he's a great overall player, very young, a lot of potential with Scottie Pippen Jr. But if him being Memphis Grizzlies just aren't the best team. Yeah, they made the playoffs, they were a 10 seed, whatever. But the 10 seed in the playoffs or the 9 seed, but they just couldn't figure it out. They really couldn't figure it out. And OKC just played better than them all 4 games. First game, they beat them by 50. Second game by 30 or 25. It was never really close. That series, I predicted it to be either a 4-1 win or a 4-0 win, and I was right. Memphis just isn't nearly as good as OKC in any aspect, unfortunately. But Memphis, when you fire your head coach 2 weeks before playoffs, that's gonna happen. When you have an interim head coach stepping up for the playoffs against the best team in the league, you're going to get manhandled. You don't have the right rotations. You have to deal with injury. You got to figure out players to rotate in. It was a bad situation for the Grizzlies, firing their coach at the worst possible time, and the players just not stepping up when needed. And playing the best team in the league is gonna that's gonna hurt as well. So, OKC moving on to the Western Conference semis. Who they'll end up playing? It's either gonna be the LA Clippers or Denver Nuggets. But let's talk about that now. LA versus Denver. This series is by far the best series in the playoffs right now. This is so evenly matched on both sides. Both teams are just perfect matchups for each other. And that game end on Saturday had to be honestly one of the best basketball games I've watched in a long time. In a very, very long time. That Denver Nuggets LA Clippers game for the 4th game in that series is one of the greatest games I think I've ever, one of the best games I've watched in my life. It was just so close the entire time. The ending of the game was, I mean, it was amazing. It was cinema. When you have Jokic hitting a step around, like fadeaway three off 1 foot, completely airballs it, and Aaron Gordon somehow predicts the ball perfectly in the air, jumps up, and just slams it down. I mean, that's just a perfect way to end the game for the Denver Nuggets. I mean, they were down, or it was a tie game, down 2-1 in the series. They lose that game. They're going back to Denver down 3-1. That's never good. You hate it. It'd be horrible to go back down 3-1 to your own home court, but it would be good because they're going back to their home court. But still, being down 3-1 in the series is never easy to come back from. And Aaron Gordon just saved them. Aaron Gordon saved the Denver Nuggets that game, and honestly, maybe the rest of the series. But that the game itself was just phenomenal. It was close the entire time. Zubac versus Jokic is still proven to be the best overall one-on-one matchup in this postseason so far. They have matched up against each other so well the entire series, and it's just amazing to watch. Jamal Murray versus James Harden, great watch. Kawhi Leonard versus whoever's guarding him, whether it be Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon. I mean, Kawhi's just been hooping. I mean, it's a phenomenal series, and this series is still looking like it's going to go to 7, and I'm so ready for that. It's just like I said, the best series in basketball right now. I cannot, when they're playing, my full intention is on that game. Unless, actually, yeah, because no games overlap. So when that game is on, that is honestly one of the only games I really pay that close attention to, besides the Pistons. Because I'm a Pistons fan, so watching that Clippers game that intently is literally, it's like I'm watching a Pistons game with how close I'm like watching, paying attention, following. So I mean, it's amazing. The series itself, like I said, is just absolutely phenomenal. There's no reason that this series does not go to 7. I just don't think it ends with a team winning in 6. I think it goes to 7, and that I hope so. It's a phenomenal series. And then we got the other series I want to talk about, Knicks versus Pistons. This hurts, man. Hurts to talk about. Pistons going back to New York down 3. I mean, the Pistons, they just couldn't. I mean, they should have won yesterday. They really should have. They were up 8 points with 5 minutes left, and then for some reason, Karl-Anthony Towns just wants to hit the greatest shots, the deepest threes you've ever seen. I'm not sure why he can shoot so well from so far out, but it's just annoying. And it doesn't help when JB Bickerstaff, head coach of the Pistons, calls a challenge 5 minutes into the game. That was just not a good play by him, not a very smart decision. And it's like he was kind of reminding me, because I saw Dan Campbell at that game. It reminds me of Dan Campbell going for a fake punt on the Lions own 10-yard line, and it's not succeeding. Like, he went for a very risky play. It didn't work out, and it cost the team the game. He should have never called that challenge. He could have called that challenge at any other point in the game. It probably would have helped them. And he used that challenge, lost it for the game. It was just not the best decision. But that last play of the game, horrible. I mean, Cade gets the inbound pass, absolutely bricks the final shot. It wasn't even close. It was off the backboard, and just didn't go in. They somehow get the loose ball, get it back. Tim Hardaway lines up for a corner 3. He pump fakes. Josh Hart jumps up, and he draws contact. Should have been a 3 shooting free throws. And the ref didn't call it. He was standing right next to him, and he didn't call it, and it was horrible. And after the game, the ref said in the interview after the game, yeah, that was a foul. It was a missed call. And that's horrible. I mean, you cannot be having referees missing calls like that all game. Or not even, they're not calling that at all this series. I don't know. These refs this series are just very questionable. I'm not saying they're favoring either team. I'm just saying these refs are just not very good. And I don't know, when you have a team like the Pistons who are so young, and they I don't know, it's just insane, because now they're going back to New York down 3-1. If they win, they'll go back to Detroit, hopefully to win that. They go to 7, but I just don't think it happens. I think they're down 3-1. I don't know. It's just if they can stop Jalen Brunson, which they just can't seem to do, they will be fine. But like I said, they just can't stop him. And Karl Anthony Towns, just if he wants to keep shooting those half-court shots and go in, I mean, he can't stop that. So I don't know. This Pistons game was a real heartbreaker for me because I was just devastated to see them lose that game like that. And seeing refs say openly after the game, yeah, it's a missed call, that's on me, and them face no consequence for that is absolutely just insane. Like, they need to start taking these refs accountable for losing these games. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure how they can, but the league needs to step up and figure this out because these refs in all season, in every game, have just been so questionable that they need to figure this out. I'm not sure how they can do it, but great weekend of games overall, and the playoffs have been really stepping up. NBA playoffs are pretty weak last year, and this year they haven't been. So happy for that. That's all I got for this segment. Next segment, sticking with the NBA. Preview the games for tonight. After that, talk about the Eastern Conference playoffs. I want to talk about that for a little bit. We'll get to that after the break.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Welcome back to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Nolan Jamber. First two, talked about the NFL. Last segment, talked about the NBA. And we're sticking with the NBA. With this segment, we're previewing the games for tonight, even though there's only two. And the next segment to end it off, talk about the Eastern Conference playoffs. But, okay, 2 games tonight. One of them will be good. One of them most likely won't be good. We'll talk about the not good one first. The first seed versus the 8th seed in the East. Cleveland Cavaliers versus Miami Heat. I really thought that the Miami Heat could get a few games out of this. Maybe push it to, a 6 game series. But they just couldn't. The Cleveland Cavaliers are going into Miami with a 3-0 lead, looking to sweep the Miami Heat. And it sucks because I do enjoy the Heat come playoff time. I mean, even without Jimmy Butler, I was following them the first 2 games, and I didn't even watch the last game because I knew they were going to lose. And tonight, I think the same thing's going to happen. I think they're going to lose. They're just outmatched. I think that the Cleveland Cavaliers roster and players overall are just so much better than the Miami Heat. Evan Mobley is just a phenomenal defender, one of the best players, honestly, one of the best defenders in the league. DPOY for a reason, or candidate for it. Phenomenal player overall. Jared Allen, a phenomenal big. Him and Bam have been a really good series, match up against each other. But I just think overall that Jared's a better overall player. He's been getting more boards. He's been playing bigger basketball, He's playing big boy, and he's been, he's embodying Bam all series. Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, one of the best guard combos in the league. Tyler Hero is really kind of the guy, I guess you'd say, for Miami. It isn't playing great this whole series, but it's basically Miami Heat have 1 Tyler Hero. The Cleveland Cavaliers have 2, with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. And they just can't seem to match it. I mean, the Cavs are just overall a better overall team than the Miami Heat, and there's not much else to say more about that. They're just a better overall team. They can't seem to stop them on any side of the ball. Offense, defense, they just can't seem to get a stop, or they can't seem to score points. I feel like the Cleveland Cavaliers defense is very good. They have a very good defensive squad. I mean, and you got the potential DPOY in your team that's going to help. Jared Allen's a phenomenal big center. Even if you feel like you don't see a lot of guards playing some good defense. Mitchell is playing some very good defense this year as a guard. Darius Garland, he's got room for improvement, I'll say. But it's just, I really wish I thought the series was 100% going to go to, maybe 6 games. I thought the Heat could grab a few, but I was proven wrong. I thought, 100% could, and they're probably going to lose tonight to be the 1-8 in the Western Conference, Thunder versus Grizzlies. Thought, maybe the Grizzlies could get 1 or 2. They got 4-0 swept. And the same thing's going to happen in the East. I thought they couldn't get 1 or 2. They're also going to get 4-0 swept, which sucks because, Miami basketball is always fun to watch come playoff time. And without Jimmy Butler, it is going to get it done. And Jimmy Butler really proved how good and valuable Butler was to the Heat. And with him gone, not only were they not in the playoffs, they were a play-in team as the last seed. If Jimmy Butler stayed and never, sat out for as long as he did and never requested a trade, the Heat 100% could have been like a 6-5 seed, maybe even a 4. They're a great team. With Jimmy Butler, they were a great team, but just couldn't get it done this year. Unfortunately, I thought that, could have made a little push. Maybe some people were, saying they could upset the Cavaliers. I didn't agree with them, but I kind of wished that something like that happened. It didn't. Unfortunately, it just didn't happen. And the series is going to end tonight with Cleveland taking home the 4-0 win in Miami in front of their own crowd to, move on to the next round, which sucks, but that's just how it goes sometimes, unfortunately. So I got something in my eye. I keep rubbing my eye. There's something in it. Not sure what it is, but it'll get out. The other game for the night, there's only 2, like I said. The other game tonight is the good game, the one that I will 100% be tuning in to watch, which is the Houston Rockets versus the Golden State Warriors. This series is currently tied 2-1, or not tied. Houston's currently up 2-1, but they're playing in Golden State tonight. The problem is Jimmy Butler, he's out. Jimmy Butler's not playing. He had that injury, that pelvic contusion, I believe is what it was, and he's out. I mean, he may come back maybe next series if they make it there, but with Jimmy Butler out, it's not looking too bright. I mean, Jimmy Butler, when he was playing, was such a valuable player for the Golden State Warriors come playoff. I mean, he was in the Heat too. He was a very valuable player come playoff time, and playoff Jimmy was really in effect. And with him gone, it's a huge miss. I mean, it just sucks. I mean, you still got Steph Curry, who's still shooting phenomenal. You got Draymond Green, who's playing great defense. But you don't really have a set-in-stone center. Moses Moody, I mean, yeah, but he's more of a forward than a center, honestly. So they really don't got, they can't match. Alperen Sengun is, the best player. He's the best big on the court when he's out there, and he's playing great so far this series. Jalen Green's been playing really good. Amen Thompson has shown why he was a top 5 pick last year. Phenomenal overall player. The Houston Rockets, even as a 2 seed, I thought, very inexperienced in the playoffs, very young team. If Jimmy Butler stayed healthy, I think they'd be up 2-1 right now and possibly getting the 3-1 lead tonight to, upset them in the playoffs. But with Butler being out now, I just don't see it happening. I think Jimmy Butler being out was a huge loss for the Warriors. And I think, if they manage to win tonight, I could still see the Houston Rockets winning at 6. Just they're better. Yeah, experience matters in the playoffs. But when you have a team with a fully healthy Rockets team, who is one of the best teams in the league, versus a injured Warriors team against really basically just Steph Curry, they're gonna win. They're gonna win this series. And I honestly thought, I was a firm believer on the Golden State upset. But like I said, with Jimmy Butler being out, that's kind of just gone away from me now. I've kind of flown past that. I've kind of accepted that hopefully they can, come back and take it to 7. Will they win it? I doubt. Unfortunately, it sucks to say it. I doubt that it happens. But that's playoff basketball. I mean, stuff happens. Teams lose players, and next guy up's got to step up and play the best ball that he can, which does suck, but it's how it is. So hopefully they can come back, win a game or 2, take it to 7, maybe move on. Maybe advance and fight to survive. But we'll have to wait and see. But tonight it's going to be a very, very important game in Golden State, playing at the Oracle. And if they can win tonight, they can still show that, yeah, we're still in it to win it. If they lose tonight, I'm calling it series. I'm calling it at that point, which sucks because this is supposed to be, like a really good series. And losing Jimmy Butler, if he's the key deciding factor, and the Warriors losing 4-1, brutal break. It's a horrible loss for them, but hopefully they win, and Jimmy Butler can come back healthy next series and just continue to dominate like he's done so far in the playoffs. That's all I got for this segment. The next and final segment, talk about the Eastern Conference playoffs. Something I want to talk about over there, so I'll talk about that after the break. Welcome back to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Nolan Jamber. First 4 segments, we covered the NFL draft, recap of that, broke it down a little bit. Second segment, talk about the Cleveland Browns quarterback room. It's interesting. Go check it out. It's interesting. Segment 3, we covered the playoff games from this weekend, recap some of those games. Last segment, we talked about the preview of the 2 games for the night. In this, the final segment, the NBA Eastern Conference playoffs. The Eastern Conference. Here, I'm gonna say this. I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say the record, current score, series score, whatever, for every Eastern Conference series right now. 3-1, 3-1, 3-1, 3-1. Actually, no, 3-0. Sorry, 3-0, 3-1, 3-1, 3-1. It is insane that every game, every series in the Eastern Conference playoffs, in the Eastern Conference, is literally just a blowout. Not a single close series. The first series, 1-8, like tonight. On the 3-0 series, Cleveland winning 3-0 against the Heat. It's going to be 4-0 tonight. That series is over. Pacers versus Bucks, 3-1. Granted, Dame came back for 2 games and just tore his Achilles again yesterday. Absolutely brutal beat for the Bucks, by the way. It's horrible. They're gonna lose Giannis now too. He's leaving 100%. But 3-1 there. A blown referee calls by the Pistons game lead the next to a 3-1 series lead. I mean, Orlando Magic getting manhandled by the Celtics, 3-1 there. I mean, the Eastern Conference playoffs is just so weak, and the series just aren't even fun to watch. I mean, these games, besides honestly the Knicks-Pistons series, all of these games are blowouts. The Pacers have won their 3 games by 20-plus points each. The Bucks, when they won, only won by I think it was 10, I'm pretty sure. These games aren't even close. Orlando's getting manhandled by Boston in most of these games. Cleveland hasn't kept it close with Miami. I mean, they're just not good games. I mean, it's just a problem when the Eastern Conference is just so much weaker compared to the West. And, you get the Eastern versus Western Conference Finals winners matchup in the NBA Championship. And the Western Conference, it's always a great match. I mean, last year, everybody thought the Celtics were gonna lose to the Mavericks, but the Celtics came out on top. And everybody says, the Celtics had a cakewalk. Well, they kind of did compared to the West. The Eastern, I'm not saying the Celtics title should be not verified. It was a win. NBA championship is a win. But it's a cakewalk compared, the Eastern Conference compared to the Western Conference. The Western Conference is just nowhere near as good, as skillful, as, powerful, I guess you could say, compared to the East. They're just nowhere near the skill. The skill gap is a big difference. It is a huge gap. It's like an A team versus a B team. If you're looking at the conference-wise, the Eastern Conference is just a lot worse. The teams aren't as good. The series aren't as good. Like I said, every series right now in the East is either the 3-0, the 1-3-0 series, or the 3-1 series. The Western Conference, a lot of those series right now, 2-1, 2-2. A lot of close, tight series right now. And the Eastern Conference just doesn't have that right now. They really don't. They really don't have, the close games the West is having. The games aren't nearly as fun to watch. Blowouts. The Eastern Conference is really just kind of just slacking. It's really lacking, and it's just a lacking conference. I'm not saying they're bad, but compared to the West, they're just not nearly as good. The Eastern Conference, these games, like I said, they're just kind of blowouts. They're not very close. They're not fun games. Yeah, if your team's in the East, like mine, I'm a Pistons fan. My team's in the Eastern Conference. The games are, I like watching the games, but seeing them down 3-1 because, bad reffing or whatever, the previous game, which should be 2-2, it just sucks to see. You see, the Bucks, yeah, they didn't win last year against the Pacers. They're not going to win this year against the Pacers. You lost Dame to a blood clot for a few months. He comes back, plays 2 games, and tears his Achilles, which is horrible for him. Prayers up for Damian Lillard. But Dame's career might be over now because of it. He might have to call it quits. He's been too long in Portland, and by the time he got to Milwaukee, he was kind of, showing, he was already slowing down a little bit. And with him possibly retiring, Giannis is still playing phenomenal. But it's really just him. Without him, the Bucks are not making the playoffs. I'll say that the Bucks are not making the playoffs without Giannis. And Giannis is most definitely going to request a trade this offseason, and honestly probably end up in New York. Not the Knicks, the Nets. Thank God not the Knicks. The Knicks, they already got Cat. If they got Giannis too, I'd be livid. I'll just say that. But I don't know. These series are just, like I said, not nearly as complete and competitive as the West. David Stern, I'm not sure what he had going on. I'm not sure how he did it, how he was, when he was the previous GM compared to Silver. I'm not sure how we had these games so close and competitive. Both conferences were so close and competitive. I'm not sure how he did it, but Adam Silver, he's got to figure it out. He's got to find out his secret formula or something. Because for the past few years, honestly, the West has just been so much more dominant in the games, in playoff series, and overall games. A lot of the games when Eastern Conference teams are playing Western Conference teams, let's say a comparable 6 seed versus 6 seed. Let's say right now the Pistons, who are the 6th seed in the East, played. Who's the 6th seed in the West? The Timberwolves. But the Timberwolves. It could be a close game, but overall the Timberwolves would probably beat them. I'm going to say it's going to be close, but realistically they probably lose by 20 points. The Timberwolves are just that good of a team. Denver versus LA. Both of those teams, Denver Nuggets or the LA Clippers, they would be a 1 seed in the East. I will say that right now. Either one of those teams, a 4 or 5 in the West, being comparable to a 1 seed in the East is just not a good look. Hell, maybe even the Timberwolves could be a 1 seed in the East if they played there. I doubt it, but, who knows? The Eastern Conference is just not nearly as competitive. I hate to say that because, it's just been kind of the saying the past few years. It's not nearly as competitive and complete as the West, and they're right. I'm not sure when Adam Silver stepped in. I kind of feel like it kind of took a big lean more right towards the West. I'm not sure how, but I feel like a lot of the worst teams are in the West, and they're getting all these good players through the draft and within a year or two, they're dominant. I mean, look at the Rockets. They were a 500 team last year, and now all of a sudden they're a 2 seed in the West. How is that possible? Where'd that jump come from? But then you got guys like in the East, like the Pistons, 14 wins to a 6 seed. So it really just kind of is based off the team, the leadership of the team. But overall, like the East, I've been just kind of rambling on about how the East isn't nearly as good, but they really aren't compared to the West, and it just sucks to watch. But overall, the Eastern Conference needs to, they got to step up. I'm not sure how they can. They got to get better players, make more trades. I'm not sure, but I mean, they got to figure it out. When it's 3-1 and 3-0 every series in the East compared to a lot of 2-1s, 2-2s in the West, you got to figure that out. I mean, not sure how they can do it. Maybe conference realignment in the future. I doubt it. But, I mean, that could honestly probably be the best way for teams to kind of make the conferences more fair. A new conference realignment would probably make the conferences games more competitive. Will that happen in the near future? Not that I know of. I would be very surprised if it did. But I wouldn't be surprised if it did, it did. But who knows? Only a matter of time before that happens until the league finally steps up and says, well, the East isn't nearly as good as the West. We got to step up and make some arrangements. And that would honestly probably be the first thing on the ballot, conference realignment. But that's my take on it, at least. I'm not, I was kind of rambling on about that, but I just something I want to talk about. It's kind of been on my mind for a little while. And, when you see these playoff series scores, 2-2, 2-1 in the West compared to 3-0, 3-1 in the East, I don't know. So I want to talk about that, give my opinion on it. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by GSMC Sports Network. Your continuous support really means the world to us, so feel free to like, comment, and share with anybody you know. If you want to stay up to date with all things GSMC, make sure to follow us on all of our social media, Instagram, Twitter, /X, Facebook, Snapchat. We're on any social media we're on. So if you want to stay up to date, just search up GSMC, hit us with a follow, stay up to date. With that being said, thank you for tuning in to my show today. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Have a good one.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go